Tribune. Tribune. this usually take?
Shoot, bring an immediate return. Shoot the radar into the ground, and the bone bounces the image back. Bounces it back. This new program's incredible. 2 more years development, and we won't even have to dig anymore.
Where's the fun in that?
It's a little distorted, but I don't think it's a computer.
Oh. Post-mortem contraction of the posterior neck ligaments. Velociraptor?
Yeah, it's good shape, too. It's 5, 6 feet high, I'm guessing 9 feet long. Look at the extraordinary...
What'd you do?
He touched it. Dr. Grant's not mission compatible.
Got it in for me. And look at the half-moon-shaped bones on the wrist. It's no wonder these guys learn how to fly.
That doesn't look very scary. More like a 6-foot turkey.
Turkey,
Turkey.
Well, maybe dinosaurs have more in common with present-day birds than they do with reptiles.
Look at the pubic bone, turned backward, just like a bird. Look at the vertebrae, full of air sacs and hollows,
More
just
like
like a bird.
6-foot turkey. Turkey.
Six-foot turkey. Turkey. 6-foot turkey. Okay. Try to imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. Try to imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. Imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. You get your first look at this 6-foot turkey as you enter a clearing.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Paleontologizing. Happy Friday to you if you're watching live. And if you're not, if you're watching in the VOD later or on YouTube, then I'm glad you are, even if you can't interact in real time. But for those of you who can, chatters, how are you all doing? It is great to have you here. Welcome back. If any of you are here for the very first time, then let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach, you know? Talking about my research specialty. Fossils, dinosaur fossils in particular. Dinosaurs are what I study, what I publish on in the scientific literature, and what I dig up during the summers. Some members of this community were here this past summer when I was out with 2 different crews digging up dinosaurs in western Wyoming and eastern Utah. We had at least 3 new species of dinosaur this summer, and some of you got to watch that live, those excavations, and that was a ton of fun, and what a privilege to be able to do that kind of science outreach, you know? This is my passion, and this is what I do full-time, streaming like this. This is how I fund my research and fieldwork and everything else, so it's good to have you here. as a scientist, I believe that more of us should be talking to the general public, doing more outreach, answering people's questions, sharing our passion for what we study with the public at large. That's what I'm trying to do here. So if you've got any questions about any of this stuff, anything that you see on the screen, anything behind me back here in my office, or any topics in general to do with natural history, biology, evolution, extinction, how fossils are formed and how we discover them, any of that stuff, please do not hesitate to ask those questions. That's what I'm here for. That's the beauty of a live broadcast like this, with a live chat. And Lordy, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you here. What did Lordy say? Love the steak dog in the frame? Probably auto-corrected, didn't it? Stego dog. But yeah, Lordy. We just got a brand new printer today, so I figured it's about time to print out that bad boy. And yeah, you'll see it make appearances on here. Kind of a mascot for the channel. Anyway, let me scroll up to the top of chat. We'll say hello to everybody. We'll get this thing kicked off. We're gonna have another chill stream today. I'm still in the process of moving out of my old apartment. I'm gonna have to pull an all-day sort of work thing there tomorrow to get the last of my stuff moved out and then clean everything before the 31st. But yeah. Anyway, so as a result, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare stuff for today's stream. It's gonna be pretty casual today. We'll play a little game of Metazua. We'll do a bunch of Q&A. We'll probably watch a video. But who have you got here in the chat? Claire Burr, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Claire Burr, Tommy Ploticus, Grim Deviant, Golganek, Steely Dan, High Tech Lowlife. Welcome back, High Tech. I feel like it's been a while. Confused Echidna, how are you doing? Good to see you again. And what in the world is this? Holy cow, Vainglory. Thank you for those 10 gift subs there. That is extraordinary, and I really appreciate that. Holy cow. Look at this beautiful Tinamou bird. All excited about those 10 gift subs. Maybe a little over-enthusiastic. Uh-oh. Take cover.
Vainglory TX is overloading the system with 10 gift subs.
Holy cow, Vainglory.
Instead of
Do I
searching for
appreciate
knowing
that.
what dinosaurs looked like, we now need to know how they lived.
And XF Kirsten, 31 months from you. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you very, very much. For keeping me here on the air for that long. But Vainglory, holy cow, 10 gift subs there. That's extraordinary, and I really appreciate it. That reminds me, I neglected to change our goal. So let's go ahead and start a new one, and we'll lessen it by 10 here. Let's make that... Let's see... Let's try 40 for today. Let's see. Science Friday sub-goal. And it's out. Thank you, Vainglory. I appreciate you. Who else do we have here in the chat? Let me make my way down here. Ball Machine, Mudman, Fajomp Jess. Lenina, how are you doing, Lenina? Welcome. Welcome. Red Tree TV, that's a name I haven't seen here before. Welcome to Paleontologizing, Red Tree. It's good to have you here. And you've already found the Dino Dance emotes. Awesome. And we've got another lovely Tinamou bird here from Reaganation. I'm sure this one's probably already passed certification. We don't have to worry about any overloads to this one. It's rated for 10 gift subs, isn't it? Uh-oh. Oh, maybe not. Oh, shoot. Take cover.
Reaganation is overloading the system with 10 gift subs.
Reaganation, that is very kind of you, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Reaganation. And thank you, High Tech Lowlife, for 2 gift subs there.
Lowlife, one gifted high-tech.
Excellent. Look, we are on our way. Holy cow. That is excellent, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. But Reaganation, how are you doing today? Happy Friday to you, or whatever day it is, wherever you're watching this from. Hope you're having a good one. Good to see you again. Thank you for helping me do what I do here. And there's 10 people in the chat, and an additional 10 from Vainglory, and 2 more from High Tech Lowlife. Those 22 people will not have to watch any ads in this channel for the next 30 days. That'll take us, like, pretty much into February 2024.
Research in paleontology consider themselves
It'll take them through the end of the year.
In a sense, that part of the joy of our field is being able to go out and put together clues that sometimes are extremely obscure.
High Tech Low Life 1 gifted 2 subs.
Thank you for those 2 more gifted subs. And 10 more from Vainglory. Holy moly. I've learned my lesson at this point, and I'm just going to duck out of frame here and take cover. I suggest you do the same thing, chat.
Get out of there, it's gonna blow!
Vainglory TX is overloading.
Okay, I think
the
it's safe
system with
now.
10 gift subs.
Holy cow, Vainglory, that is extraordinary. We're already at more than halfway to our sub goal for today. And I've only been streaming for a few minutes. That is very generous of you, Vainglory. Thank you very, very much. Holy cow. I'm deeply grateful. Thank you for that support for science on Twitch. Thank you, Vainglory. Excellent. Alpha Barnes 978, how are you doing? And welcome to Paleontologizing, another name I've never seen here before. Welcome, Alpha Barnes. I hope you feel right at home here. It's my first time here. Hope everyone had a good holiday. You too, Alpha Barnes. I hope you did also. Welcome to the channel. Yeah. And Red Tree TV says, I heard someone say that T-Rex had lips the other day. It didn't just have lips the other day, it also had lips when it was alive 66 million years ago. 66 to about 68. Hadn't realized that was a point of contention, but apparently not everyone agrees on what lips are. Yeah, I mean, it is still kind of a point of contention. There is a general consensus that these animals did have lips at this point, but it's still controversial. We could talk about that a little bit if you would like to. But yeah, let me scroll down and try and get through everybody's names. Keep getting snagged here in a good way. Natron, how are you doing? Welcome, Baja Smancer. Hello. It's Evolution. What's shaking with you? It's good to see you here. Howdy. Totally Tubular Tima. I'm totally stoked that you're here. Thanks for joining us. Mas Dino Min. How are you doing? Welcome back to Paleontologizing.
If you're a bit cheated, try blaming the dinosaurs.
Thank you for those 100 bits. Mike Elf. Michael F01.
Try blaming the dinosaurs.
It belongs in a museum.
It does, the Raven.
It belongs in a museum!
Thank you for those 100 bits. I appreciate those, the Raven. I really do. We got Pimpcat, we've got Texas Cryptid, we've got Big TN. Scary Printer Sounds. Welcome back to you, Scary Printer Sounds. How are things? And let's see here. Land Lord John has reached a 20 stream streak. I don't think I've even seen that name here before. Maybe a very faithful lurker. But welcome, John. It's good to have you here. Tony is my baby says, I'm watching live. I'm replying live, Tony is my baby, even if it is a little late. I promise this is live. I'm still trying to make my way down through the bottom of the chat. Arg, I got sucked into Twitch. Welcome back to you. Hello. Yeah. Alright, I might miss some messages, but I'm trying to make my way down. And Alexander Morrison says, howdy. First saw you, Danny, when you went out in the field with Jim and crew. Very cool, Alexander Morrison. That was a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing that again this next summer. Not sure if I mentioned it before. Just got done rewatching those vids. That's awesome, Alexander. It's good to have you here. That makes me really, again, what a privilege to be able to do that. Be able to stream from the field. Saggy Iguana It's a steak dog, yeah. And yeah, Creature Express, new 2D printer. New, what do they call it? A laser desk printer? Laser jet printer? I don't know. It uses toner. It's not an inkjet. We were getting kind of gouged by HP on ink and stuff like that. And it's important for me to be able to print things for the office here. And so it just made sense to get a new printer. Lordy and I split it. She prints things for sewing patterns and stuff. And thank you, Red Tree, for those 100 bits. I appreciate that very much. Hype Train completed level 6. Well. That is brilliant. Extraordinary. Well, maybe we'll have some ukulele tunes later if people want to hear those. I do have the ukulele here now. And I also found the measuring cup. I didn't unbox it yet, but I boxed it up and brought it to my new place today. So we've got that again. It's Sarah B. Says, hey, yo, how are you doing? It's Sarah B. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Another new folk here. Welcome, Sarah. What's shaking? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Avalon Angels is here. Smorphosaurus is here. The Raven is here. Naderfiend is here. Naderfiend says there are actually some people who believe dinosaurs are fake. No, there aren't, Naderfiend. Those people are fake. They don't actually exist. I'm not convinced yet that there's anybody who actually truly believes in their heart of heart that dinosaurs are somehow made up or something. I don't think anyone actually truly believes that. I think it's just something that people say on the internet to get attention. But yeah. Anyway, Michael F01, that was your first time chat, was sharing those bits. I appreciate that, Michael. Thank you. It's great to have you here. Anian98, how are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Hi to you too. We've got all kinds of cool new people here. Holy cow. Toner is my baby. Toner is my baby. Good stuff. Herman is back too. Welcome, Herman. You've returned to us. We've got all kinds of cool new people here today. Holy moly. I'm almost down to the bottom of chat. Insincerity is a plague. I agree, Claire Burr. Yeah. It's just midnight and I joined your stream, Annie-Ann. Holy cow. Get some sleep if you need to. But it's good to see you here. Welcome back. Thank you for your support yesterday, subscribing. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Annie-Ann says, I love dinosaurs and you're an interesting streamer. Thank you. You are going to learn so much about dinosaurs on this stream. On this channel. So you're in the right place. Welcome, new friend. I mean that sincerely. Thank you for being here.
True.
Cactus Jack, how are you doing? And Lenina says, I had someone genuinely ask me once, you mean you actually believe in dinosaurs? She was not science-minded, so I wasn't totally surprised. But you don't have to be science-minded, you just have to be, like, you know, okay with the idea of observable reality. Which, to be fair, there are some people who are not, you know? And there's some people who love to just kind of construct a fantasy world for themselves, and they like to live in that full time. Those people are actually shockingly common, but I don't know. As a dinosaur paleontologist, I am... Thank you, Murph, for gifting Anyan. Thank you, Murph. As a dinosaur paleontologist, I am pretty well convinced that if I could sit down with just about anybody who, maybe for attention or whatever, they say, oh yeah, I don't believe in dinosaurs or whatever. Like, if I could actually sit down with them and have a heart-to-heart, I could figure out what's actually going on there, because it's not going to be that they actually don't believe in dinosaurs, you know? Talk is cheap, but, like, actual convictions that you actually hold with your whole heart, you know, those are something else. And I do not believe that there is a single person on this planet who actually sincerely believes and is convinced of the idea that dinosaurs are somehow not real. Because if you really did believe that, if you really, really did, that would be like, holy cow, how could that not consume your whole existence? How could that not be something where it's like, well, I need to prove that this is not true. The world needs to know, If you actually sincerely believed that dinosaurs were somehow a fake and this is all a conspiracy, then, and like you don't devote your life to demonstrating that, you'd have to be the laziest person in the world. You see what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. And also, it's like, I could show you actual dinosaur fossils. I could take you on a dinosaur dig. We were digging up dinosaurs live on stream this summer. The idea that somebody they could have such a wild idea and be so incredibly incurious and lazy about it. I don't think those people actually truly believe that in their hearts, It's just something that people say. So yeah, anyway. But yeah. And Charlie's Dragon says, you have more patience than me, Danny. I get fed up with anti-science people very quickly. I can relate to that, Charlie's Dragon, but I don't know, I feel like that's why I do what I do, It does take some patience, but I don't know, I consider that kind of my duty, And welcome Red Tree TV, thank you for that follow. It's good to have you here. Thanks for clicking that follow button. Yeah.
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces.
Dormir Bell. Oh yeah.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you too, Dormir Bell. I think you might be the first person who's said that to me so far. Thank you for your continued support with that Prime sub. I appreciate it very much. How are you doing, by the way? We're going to be having some fun New Year's streams. I'll tell you about those in a bit. Right now, I'm still trying to make my way down to the very bottom of chat. Yeah. But yeah, Enyan says, I believe that dinosaurs could exist and anything. Well, they did. Okay, so far so... Like the people's finding their bones? Yep, I do that. But for example, in the concept of the voice of dinosaurs in some games or films, I think it isn't what some dinosaurs should sound like. Yeah, we don't know what most dinosaurs would have sounded like, Enyan. No, that's true. We don't know what color most dinosaurs were. We don't necessarily know what the skin textures were like on certain dinosaurs. There's a bunch of dinosaurs for which we don't really have a very good idea for what the animal would look like, even like what the silhouette of its body would look like for a bunch of dinosaurs. Because we're dealing with very limited
if you're feeling a bit cheated,
fossil material.
Try blaming the dinosaurs.
Hello, I have a general question. I saw a clip somewhere saying they could know what the tail looked like from the jawbone. Can you explain how that is?
Oh, sure, Herman. Yeah. Thank you for those 100 bits, by the way. I appreciate that. It's lovely when a question is accompanied by some bits. That's very generous, Herman, and I appreciate that. Yeah. So we're getting into what we call comparative anatomy. Let me kind of show you how that works. So let's say that you find a dinosaur fossil. You find a single bone from a dinosaur. Let's say that it is... Let's say that you're walking along and you find this tooth right here. Well, first, you don't really know what it is. So, say you take it into a museum and you're talking to some paleontologists at the museum and you say, well, what is this? And they say, wow, that's pretty cool. That's a Tyrannosaurus tooth. And you say, well, shoot. How in the world do you know that it's a Tyrannosaurus tooth? would say, well, look at the anatomy of it. Look at the fact that it's really, really broad in cross-section. Look at the serrations, the denticles that run along here. Look at the overall size. Tyrannosaurus is the largest of the tyrannosaurs. And it's got the largest teeth of any tyrannosaur, too. And they say, well, you know, I found it out in eastern Montana. You know, out near my uncle's ranch. So, well, that's exactly where Tyrannosaurus is from. We can kind of use these context clues to kind of figure out things like that. But say you find a bone from a dinosaur that's unknown. Dinosaur that's never been discovered before. I'm trying to think of a good example here. Like if you find a jawbone and you know, how in the world would a paleontologist be able to figure out what kind of dinosaur it is if it's something that's not been found before? So you find this. How in the world could you tell what the rest of the animal looked like? Well, that's the thing, is that we're not operating in a vacuum here. We've got other jawbones from other dinosaurs, and so we can compare this jawbone to those. This is what we call comparative anatomy. And so we can say which kind of dinosaur has jawbones similar to this. It's never going to be identical. Or very, very, very rarely will it be identical, but you'll find dinosaurs with similar jawbones. And in this case, it's a hadrosaur jawbone. It'll be similar to hadrosaurs like this Corythosaurus right there. This is the whole thing, is that we are constantly using clues that other scientists have found. Like, banish from your head this idea of, like, the lone genius, you know? Like, one single person who knows all this stuff. We're all building on other things that other scientists have discovered. This is why we publish papers in scientific journals with lots and lots of illustrations. It's so that we can... Here. Hopefully this is open access. Yeah, oh shoot, it's not. Gosh darn it. Paywall. I was trying to look up another paper with, Corythosaurus. Cretaceous research is also paywalled, I think, isn't it? Yeah, shoot. Well, here's the original descriptive paper of Corythosaurus from back in 1914. Let me pull that up for you here. There we go. Yeah. And so there weren't as many illustrations back then, but there will be a few in here. Yeah, we've got some photographs. And there's that lower jaw right there. So you compare the lower jaw and you go, holy cow, this is really, really similar. This has got to be a hadrosaur. So we might not know what the full animal would look like in every detail, but we can tell that it's a hadrosaur, a duck-billed dinosaur. And so, you know, its general body shape is going to be like this. It's going to have those big, beefy hind limbs. It's going to have this long, kind of laterally compressed tail. It's going to have forelimbs that are shorter than its hind limbs. And it's going to have this nice duck-like bill in the front. And since we have complete skeletons from other hadrosaurs, we generally know what their whole skeletal anatomy looked like. So if you just find bits and pieces from one, say, in, I don't know, let's talk about California. Our state dinosaur is Augustine-Alophus. It's usually reconstructed like this. Very similar to Saurolophus. We don't have that much from this animal. These are the bones that we actually have from Augustine-Alophus, but they're very, very similar to another dinosaur called Saurolophus. So again, Actually, we've got a pretty okay skeleton of Augustinolophus. Let's see. I'm trying to find you a diagram that actually shows how much we have of it. That's a little tricky. But anyway. We've got another dinosaur called Saurolophus, and we do have complete skeletons of it. And so we can kind of use that, which is a very close relative, and we can fill in the gaps for Augustinolophus. There's still some guesswork involved with that. We might never get all of its anatomy 100% correct, but that's how paleontology works, you know? Things are always a little bit provisional like that. But yeah. I hope that makes sense, Herman. I hope it makes sense. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions, and let me look through chat and see if anybody else had any follow-ups.
And if dinosaurs had not died, I imagine that mammals would still be small creatures like this living in the nooks and crannies of their world, and we wouldn't be here.
And Pooh Shiesty, that's my... Thank you for the follow. Welcome to Paleontologizing. We live in a society, George C. There you go, Tony's baby. And Baja Smancer has requested Carnotaurus as a deep dive. We could do that, Baja. We could do that. That might be the dinosaur we've done the most deep dives on in the past. I think we've done it like 4 times. But we could do it again. Carnotaurus is a good one. Yeah. And Lumiere, do you think the center of the Earth is inhabited by dinosaurs, as my Uncle Jules told me? Jules Verne is your uncle, Lumiere? Holy cow. No. It'd be... Oh, believe me. If there were a 1 in a million shot that the Earth were hollow and inhabited by living Mesozoic dinosaurs, I'd be the first one down there trying to find them. It's... yeah. Unfortunately, it's not the case. But yeah. And Arg, I got sucked into Twitch, says, is that why some people try to say that paleontology isn't a real science? I think a lot of people just don't like science in general. Nobody who knows anything at all about science would ever say that, Arg. No. Yeah, I don't know. Paleontology is one of the more complicated and complex of the sciences. Because there's kind of a spectrum there. On the one hand, the easiest, or we'll say least complicated sciences, least complex, are like chemistry and physics. Physics is by far the simplest of all the sciences. It doesn't mean it's not difficult. It just means that it's simple. You're dealing with the simplest parts available. The very basic building blocks of the universe in physics. And then you broaden it out to chemistry is like applied physics. So it's a little bit more complicated. It's more complex. Geology is like applied chemistry. And you're also mixing like, you know, some people call it a historical science. I kind of disagree with that characterization. But anyway, geology. Then you add on biology to that too. Biology, which is also like applied chemistry. Mix biology and geology together and you get paleontology. So you're just adding these different levels of complexity on top of one another. That's why paleontology is one of the most complex, complicated sciences. And there's a million different ways to approach problems in paleontology, to approach different questions, to test different hypotheses. It's endlessly fascinating. I think some people, I don't know, sometimes you get like people who fancy themselves like fans of physics, and they're like, oh, physics is the queen of the sciences. You know, it's the most scientific of all the sciences. Like, you do not understand the philosophy of science at all, do you? It's not how it works. It just means that you've got the simplest, you know, subject of study. So anyway, yeah. And hard science is easy, soft science is hard. Yeah, there's not a dichotomy like that, you know? Yeah. I think some people just want to be snotty, I would agree. I got arg. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Anyway. And, let's see. Murph says that was my college roommate who would say stuff like that. Yeah. I met some physicists back in Montana who would say stuff like that. And then... But some of them also, like... I don't know. One of them was, like, obsessed with Bigfoot, too. Which is, like, if you knew anything about biology or ecology... You know, I don't know. It just didn't really speak well to, their level of, like, a basic understanding of science, you know? So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And... Dormir Bell says, how is your water situation there? Do you need us to send some water wings? What do you mean, Dormir Bell? I'm not sure I understand. I should drink some water, though. And, oh, got some hydrates there. Excellent. Yeah, Anyan and Dan D, thank you for the hydrates. I don't always respond to those right away, you know? If we're talking about a subject, you know, sometimes it might have to wait a few minutes. But, anyway, thank you. It's good to have you here. All the coastal flooding and whatnot. I live up on a hill now, Dormir Bell. But yeah, we are getting some coastal flooding here, aren't we? It's a high tide and a storm surge at the same time. Yeah. And Murph, I did see the new Polycotylid plesiosaur. Yeah, very exciting stuff, Murph. I almost picked that paper to share with Balint the other night, but we didn't. We did some other ones instead. And Red Tree TV says when it comes to physics, especially particle physics, you get into weird situations when it comes to philosophy of science as experiments. And as experiments become more impractical and more infrequent, yeah. And then you get into stuff like string theory, which I've heard some scientists argue that, like, is not empirically testable and thus should not be considered science. And it brings about this whole thing where it's like, will modern physics basically turn into philosophy? You know, where it becomes increasingly less and less testable? And, I don't know. I don't feel like I can have a strong opinion on that, because I don't know enough about it. But yeah. And Indrax says, scientists are generally humbled by other scientists' domains. I would say that's true. Yeah, saying one science is better than another sounds more like engineering. I've met some engineers in my day, Indrak, who, I don't know. I've met some engineers who were really cool people and, like, good head on their shoulders, very curious and open-minded. I've met some engineers who are incredibly close-minded, think they know everything. It's very much a Dunning-Kruger kind of a deal, you know? Yeah. Or they'll, like, look at a dinosaur skeleton, they'll go, that doesn't work. It's like, what do you mean it doesn't work? Saramlin. Well.
In some magic way, I've been subbed for a whole year.
Holy cow, Saramlin, thank you for keeping me online for the past 12 months. I do really appreciate that, Saramlin. I really, really do. Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember speaking with an engineer once, and he was, like, absolutely convinced that, he's like, oh, those limbs, they don't work like that. It's backwards. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We were like, I think we were looking at a duck-billed dinosaur skeleton. And he's like, no, the legs are on backwards. I'm like, what do you mean they're on backwards? He's like, well, these are like chickens, right? So the chicken legs are backwards. It's like, you know, and this dinosaur isn't like that. It's like, what do you mean chicken legs are backwards? What are you talking about? They're not. They just have a longer foot than you do. And he was like, he didn't know where the ankle joint was. Anyway, it was a whole thing. But he said it with such confidence. And I think in certain disciplines, maybe that's part of the job, is maybe you have to speak with absolute conviction even when you're 100% wrong. maybe engineering is kind of like law or theology or something like that in that sense, you know? You know, it's like being a lawyer. I don't know. Or maybe he was just a knucklehead. He was a knucklehead. Anyway. Yeah. And Steely Dan, yeah. By the way, if we want to talk about philosophy of science, and if any of you are curious about this kind of thing, there's a book I would really like to recommend to you. I've done this before, but let's see, where did that go? There we go. Should be right here. Yeah. An excellent book on sort of the philosophy of science and like applied philosophy of science. I would recommend this. It's called Nonsense on Stilts, which I think might be a Bertrand Russell quote. I don't know. Anyways, by Massimo Pigliucci, who himself is an evolutionary biologist and kind of a philosopher of science. But it's excellent stuff. It's kind of an exploration of what is science, how in the world do we draw a line between fields that are science and fields that maybe are different from science? Can history be a science? Is economics a science? How do we draw the distinction between science and pseudoscience? And what are some challenges that face scientists in trying to communicate their work to the public and stuff like that? This book goes over a lot of that stuff, and I would highly recommend it. It's good stuff. Yeah, especially if you're interested in philosophy and interested in, like, what is science? Check this out. I think you'll like it a lot. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. And yeah, exactly. That's a very scientific way of looking at things and speaking, where you can never say things. Well, there we go. Me breaking that rule. You can never say things. As scientists, we tend to be a bit more. We strive to be more careful with our language, and to say the most likely thing is this, or, you know, if this is true, then this is probably true here, rather than just saying, like, you know, this is the absolute truth, there it is. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. But yeah, and yeah, I've met people like that too. And Space says, I met a physicist once who wasn't sure if physics described reality or was reality. You know, this reminds me of a clip. I betcha I've got this somewhere, don't I? There was a... Whoop. Google's being super slow right now. I think maybe it's in here. I sent this clip to Belinda. You know, that's where I can find it. I'll find it in my email to Belinda. Let's see. But this is with Richard Feynman, being interviewed for a... Oh, goodness. It's frustrating. I'm just trying to... Oh, goodness. If I search clip... There we go. There it is. So yeah, this is a...
I can see 7 Up.
This is a documentary wherein physicist Richard Feynman was interviewed about, like, well, what is science? And why is it important? And what are your thoughts on it? And I really like that Richard Feynman has this very casual way of talking about these, I think, really important subjects. It's very relatable, very animated. It seems like the cool kind of person that would be really cool to hang out with. And part of it is him just hanging out with... was this Fred Hoyle? The astronomer? Anyway, Fred Hoyle was kind of a weird guy. We're not going to get into that now, but holy cow, did he have some really wacky ideas about scientific fields outside of his own, where he was like kind of a wacko conspiracy theorist about other branches of science that he clearly did not know anything about. And he was also vehemently against the idea of, like, there being a beginning to the universe. He was a steady state guy. He, like, was vehemently against the idea of the Big Bang. But, anyway.
I can see 7 other alternatives. And so, since I see these other alternatives, I don't know which one to piddle with. Well, I don't like to spend a lot of energy on one.
My choice is very simple. I don't set any requirement that the answer be right. It's just what I'm interested to follow.
That's the difference.
Anyway. And Indrex is Richard Feynman is my hero. Everyone should really read his books. I've never read any of his work, but his passion for science really speaks to me. And yeah, that's why I wanted to share this clip with you. Well, let's continue.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to find
If I'm interested in
I'm trying to find out not how nature could be, but how nature is. See how what's right.
Well, I don't think you'll ever find it, you see. I don't think you'll ever find it.
I see. And your idea...
Or is this Arthur C. Clarke? I'm not sure who the other guy is, but that's Feynman on the left. And thank you, Scavbug, for the follow. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you.
Here's to find out what nature could be.
No,
different possibilities.
No.
Different
What I think is interesting. Yeah.
Even if it's wrong.
Common ground is enthusiastically explored. But is it only shared experience and knowledge that forms a bond between working scientists and separates them from us, the interested layman, or even the artist? I mean, scientific fields are becoming so specialized and they're so varied. Are you really saying that you have more in common with, say, a paleontologist or someone in a branch of science very far removed from yours than you would with a playwright or a poet?
Absolutely, especially if he's a good paleontologist. Because he's a good paleontologist, he's not just looking at old rocks. He's looking at the history of the Earth. He's looking, when he stands and he looks at his own fingers, and he knows it's got 5 bumps, and he thinks of how did it evolve with 5 bumps. It's got the same as whales, and so on. And we keep talking about the importance of the fact that the thumb opposes. Then we can start discussing, is it really so important that the thumb or is it language that has been evolved, the system of symbolism, or the size of the brain? This is a paleontologist. I can talk about this stuff. That's close to his field. Dolphins have bigger brains than we are. They have a signaling system, and you get interested in that. And you start to discuss all that they know about dolphins, and you complain that the way the United States Navy has been doing its experiments is not right, and we ought to find out more about dolphins. And you go on and on. You talk, those are things of the day. They're just as good, but you can go on and on. I talk to a...
And it's funny because this kind of reminds me of what streaming on Twitch is like as a scientist, because we just go down all of these rabbit holes. Like, someone has a question and then, shoot, that's what we're doing right now. And it's because science is integrative like that, you know? Where one thing kind of feeds into another.
Playwright or something, I find, because they're just as good, but you can go on and on. I talk to a playwright or something, I find, because I don't go to plays or something, I don't find it easy to talk to them. I don't get much out of it.
Hey, Phoenix,
well, I was going to say, this is because you can talk to scientists in other fields, presumably because you read the scientific magazines, presumably, and hear the scientific...
The disgust on his face.
No. Because we don't have to have magazines or gossip. We think originally. We think of a new idea.
Yep.
We talk to each other and we try to look at something from a new point of view. And we delight each other in a new point of view. And when you're talking to somebody else who's trying to think of something new, different, and he thinks he's thought about the whales or the dolphins, and he has some little thing he's thought of that's a little different than the thing that you've thought of. And so when you're talking back and forth, he's excited by your point of view about dreams, and you're excited by his little observation.
And this is why I really love those crossover streams with Balint, is that we have that back and forth like that, you know? He has some sort of an idea, and I may have thought about this problem in a completely different way based on my background in fossil science. But the thing is, as Feynman is about to describe here, these are new frontiers. It's working on stuff that nobody's ever worked on before. Like, these are still open questions. There's big unknowns all over the place
that he has made about dreams, if he has happened to have thought about that. So the point is, and our backgrounds give us a slightly different point of view. I mean, a scientific background. Like, I specialize in physics, to say he specializes in paleontology. So his information on dreams might be more deeper, more evolutionary. For example, he might, well, he can't, we don't have a way of telling, I suppose, about the evolution of dreams, but he might know, for example, about other animals. He might have thought about whether other animals dream and what the signs are, and all other things that I hadn't thought of. I can't make it up now because I'm not the paleontologist, but I believe that, yes, I find always that a good man, I take it all back.
I love how he's just expounding on this, and then he just goes, oh, hang on. No, I'm wrong. I love that, because, again, this is somebody who's very open-minded. In this sense, he's like, well, shoot, I just thought of something else. Nope, I take it back. My point doesn't stand. Check it out.
I take it all back.
Thank you, Lumiere, for the hydrate.
I've talked to good men in other fields. There's certain kinds of men in every field.
And again, this is from like the early 1960s, I think. He keeps saying man, men. I guess most scientists were men back then. It's not that way anymore. It's just a very antiquated way of talking.
That I can talk to as well as I can talk to a good scientist. I met a historian, or a writer of history, from France once, and I had a marvelous conversation with him. Maurois, his name was Andre Maurois. And then I met an artist, Robert Irwin, who's a very important artist in Los Angeles.
I should read some of his stuff.
And I could talk to him at the same depth of excitement. So I take it all back. If you give me the right man in any field, I can talk to him. I know what the condition is. That he did whatever he did as far as he can go. That he studied every aspect of it as far as he has stretched himself to the end. He's not a dilettante in any way. And so he talked deep as far as he can go, and therefore he's up against mysteries all the way around the edge. And awe. And we can talk about mystery and awe. That's what we have in common.
I really like that. And I think he's describing what, ideally, a scientist is someone where they've really followed their line of inquiry as far as it can take them. And what did he say? There's, to the point where there's mysteries all around. You've reached the frontier of human knowledge. So that anything beyond that is unknown. And that's exciting. That, I think, is what drives scientists to do what we do. And I remember the first time I watched that, I was kind of blown away. I was like, wow, this guy gets it. And he's a physicist. Physicists can be really awesome, it turns out. I think it's just such a contrast with some of the physicists and engineers. Some people were kind of on the border of both of those that I'd met in Montana. Yeah. Anyway, there's a link to that, and it's timestamped for the beginning of where we started watching. Also led a super interesting life. Yeah, I should probably read something. If Indrak, would you have a... Which of Feynman's books do you think I should start with? Which one do you think I would most enjoy? If you were to get me hooked on Feynman's books, which one would you recommend to me? I'll buy it right now. 6 easy pieces. All right. Consider it done. Find it on thrift books. Yeah. Nice. Paperback, good condition. Or... Hang on. There's also 6 not-so-easy pieces? No, I'll start with 6 easy pieces. I can get it in hardcover. For $7.79. Not too shabby. Good condition. Add to cart. Excellent. I'll need to get another book before it can ship for free, but it's in my cart. Thank you, Indrak. Yeah.
What are dinosaurs?
Oh, you're about to find out. We don't know games. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Thank you for the follow. Yeah. And Luchasaurus? I'm not sure I know that critter off the top of my head, Shaggy. Yeah. And surely your joking is more autobiographical and really fun to read. Nice. I'll look into that too, Indrak. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, a pro wrestler. Oh, well, there you go, Shaggy. That's why I don't know. Yeah, before we really get started with that dinosaur deep dive for Carnotaurus that Bahasmancer has requested, let's do a quick game of Metazoa. Need to remember to do these more often, but this is a really cool game to play where it's kind of like Wordle, if you've ever done that. Instead of trying to guess a word, we're trying to guess a mystery animal. And rather than like guessing letters, what you do is, well, you use phylogeny to try and figure out what it is. Most recent common ancestors and, you know, clades and stuff. So, let's go ahead and
hold on to your butts.
Get started. So, find this animal. Mystery creature. It is some kind of animal. So what we do here is just type in the random name of an animal. And I'm going to try skunk. Just came up. You know why why I've got skunks on the brain? Because I saw this picture the other day and I thought it was really funny. Here. Okay, cool. I can embiggen it here. I thought that was funny. You know. Apparently this is a real one? I don't know. I like the idea of, like, super mundane superhero comic books. And the idea of all of these superheroes being defeated by a skunk really makes me laugh. That's good stuff. Anyway, skunk. Let's try skunk. I find when I start off with a, oh boy. Uh-oh. We're not anywhere close to that. I find if I start off with a placental mammal, sometimes it gives it a head start, but no, today's is going to be tricky, I think. Oh boy. So we can use this tree of life over here. Kind of help guide us a little bit. But, yeah. So we're not quite starting out here at all life. Not Archaea. We're going to be in eukaryotes. We're going to be in animals. There we go. Metazoa. And eumetazoa is... oh, shoot, I don't know where. Diploblasts are proposed basal animal clade as a sister group of porifera sponges. So let's go to where sponges emerge. Well, let's try that. If it were... so the way that this game works is if it were a mammal, because I guess skunk, it would show, oh, well, both the mystery animal and skunks are mammals. But this creature, this animal, is so far from skunks that you've got to go way up here to a group like this with, 1.4 million species in it. Likely more, actually, in order to be able to figure it out. So, what I'm going to do here is, let's just guess sea sponge. And it's not a sea sponge. Let's search jellyfish. Okay, it is a cnidarian. Good to know, good to know. Yeah. So cnidarians are critters that have stinging cells. That's sea jellies, that's corals. It's mostly sea jellies and corals, I think. So, yeah. Jellyfish, corals, and more. Cnidaria. So this is good. We've narrowed it down 1,000-fold from 1.4 million to just 14,000. Good, good. So, we know it's not a jellyfish, though. So it could be an anemone or a coral. Let's try brain coral. I type in coral, and brain coral is the only option it gives me. And holy cow, there it is! Yeah! Alright. Good stuff. Good stuff. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Yeah. How many guesses was that? 4. I got it in 4 guesses. Speedrun indeed, Clairebird. Not too shabby. Yeah. Excellent. It's called Metazoa, if any of you want to play it. But like Wordle, I think it's only 1 answer per day for the website. And so you already saw today's answer. That's brain coral. But you can do practice ones like this, which is cool. Anyway, and I'll type that in. There it is there for you in the chat. Yeah. Anyway, somebody was asking about cnidarians. They said the sea is silent? It is. Yeah. It said there was a new one in 30 minutes. Wait, it did? Where did it say that? Oh yeah! There's only 1 mystery animal per day, but you get 20 guesses to figure it out. A new game will start in 22 minutes. Well, somebody remind me in 22 minutes, and we'll do it again. Yeah, nice. Seems to be on UK time. That makes sense, Charlie's Dragon. That does make sense. Yeah. So let's talk about cnidarians a little bit. This is a really old branch of the animal family tree. Cnidaria. Yeah. Let's try this from Jonathan Bird's Blue World. Cnidarians.
Look out for that Medusa. Coming up, Jonathan investigates the world of stingy, squishy animals, the cnidarians. Welcome to Jonathan Bird's Blue World.
I've seen this guy's stuff before. It's pretty good.
jellyfish. Technically not fish at all. Biologists
anywhere close,
prefer
yeah.
to call them jellies. Everyone has heard
Sea
of
jellies.
them, but what are they? Jellies are squishy invertebrates, members of a phylum of animals called cnidarians.
Yep.
The phylum Cnidaria, which means stinging animal, contains around 11,000 species worldwide. They're among the simplest of the higher organisms, more complex than sponges, but not as complex as something like sea stars.
And when we say complex here, I mean, it's kind of lousy and that feels like a judgment word. You know, it feels like it's got a judgment attached to it there. Like, you know, complex surely means better than simple. But, you know, it just means that they don't have as many parts, I guess. They are a bit simpler in their construction than, say, the bony fish that you see swimming around them or something like that. But it doesn't mean that they're not well adapted to their environment or, you know, they're still really good at what they do. That's why they've been around for, like, close to 1 billion years.
The creatures in this phylum are radially symmetrical, just like sea stars.
Yep.
This means that the parts of the body extend outward from the center, like the spokes on a bicycle wheel. The cnidarians include
But sea stars are not
hydroids,
cnidarians.
jellies, anemones, and corals.
Yeah.
All cnidarians have tentacles with stinging cells in their tips, which are used to capture and subdue prey. The stinging cells are called cnidocytes and contain a structure called a nematocyst. The nematocyst is a coiled thread-like
wow.
stinger. When the nematocyst fires, the thread uncoils and springs straight. The harpoon-like thread punctures through the cell wall and into the prey.
Yowza. Has anybody here in chat ever been stung by a sea jelly or a coral or an anemone or something like that? And how did it feel, if you have? I mean, yeah, that's what it feels like, says Lenina. Oh, boy. Just nettles. Yeah, those aren't as bad, Baha. But yeah. Does fire coral count? I think so, Pimpcat. Fire coral is a kind of coral, right? Here. Fire coral. Yep, that's within corals, so it is a cnidarian. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Bladed fire coral. Yeah. Yeah. Got an urchin spine in your finger once. Oh, yowza, Claireburr. But urchins are echinoderms, so they're from a different clade. Yeah, but a dinosaur bit you once? Nice. Anakin K. Real. Was it a bird? Anyway. Yeah.
Most cnidarians also have a toxin in their stinger that helps disable.
Oh, your coral encounter. Yeah, Claire, yeah.
Many cnidarians are not harmful to humans, as the nematocyst cannot penetrate sufficiently into human skin to inflict any harm.
Huh.
There are some cnidarians, however, like certain jellies and hydroids, that can deliver extremely painful and, in a few cases, even fatal stings to humans.
Yowza.
The cnidarian can have one of two basic body types. The polypoid is the configuration of corals and anemones, with the tentacles and mouth generally facing upward, and the other side affixed to a substrate. In the medusoid form, the organism is a free swimmer, with the mouth and tentacles generally pointed down.
Huh.
The hydroids, anemones, and corals are mostly all benthic animals in a polypoid shape. This means that they live attached to the bottom with their
box
tentacles
jellies
and mouth pointing
not to be messed around with. Little pink pony, exactly.
The Telia anemone, found in the North
Excuse
Atlantic,
me.
is a good example of a polypoid cnidarian. Anemones are solitary, with each individual living alone. It sits patiently and waits for prey. And once something wanders into the tentacles, the prey goes into a central mouth, then down into what is called a blind gut. That means there's only one way in or out. Once the food has been digested, it gets spit back out through the same mouth it went in. All cnidarians have a blind gut.
Interesting. So they don't have a butt.
Hydroids tend to be quite small and flower-like.
Monostome. Yeah, there you go. Red trees. Yep. Not to be confused with deuterostomes, which are, they've got two openings. One in the front, one in the back. Yeah.
But don't let their fragile appearance fool you. They can sting their prey quite well. There's a hydroid in the tropics that looks like peach fuzz on the reef, but it has an appropriate name, fire coral.
Yowza.
It's not actually coral, but it definitely stings like fire.
Ah, so this is why we have scientific names, you know? Fire coral, there's like, how many different kinds of fire coral here? This is called fire coral, that is too, and then, shoot, there's that one there that's also called fire coral, and these are actual corals, and then there's this other thing that's not actually a coral, but it is an cnidarian called fire coral. This is why we've got these long, usually Latin or Latinized Greek names right here, like Millipora elsicornis. We can use this, and it doesn't matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is, or what associations you might have with these common names. This is the same universally, worldwide, around the globe. Scientists use these terms. Even if you're typing in a different language that doesn't use Latin characters, even if you're typing in, on a Japanese keyboard, you still need to type this out like this if you're, communicating science. Even if the whole paper is in Japanese, this is still going to be the same right here. Those scientific names are universal so that we don't confuse one another when we're talking about these things. Yeah.
Contact with this hydroid is quite unpleasant for divers.
And Kuasil, glad you got a gift sub.
Unlike
Welcome back.
Anemone, coral polyps are colonial, meaning that they live in groups, connected together with living tissue, and they share food resources. Some corals create limestone skeletons that build up to form boulder-like structures called coral heads. Many coral heads together form
And they can be very sharp.
creating habitat for fish. It's hard to believe that something so small can create structures that can be seen from space.
Yeah.
Cnidarians
teamwork
don't
there.
have much in the way of specialized organs. For example, they have no gills. They absorb oxygen from the water directly through their skin. Having a lot of tentacles gives them plenty of surface area exposed to the water for metabolism.
Interesting.
The most well-known cnidarians are, of course, the members of the medusoid body form, the jellies. Jellies drift along in the water, generally with the mouth and tentacles pointing down, a net to capture small prey. Some jellies are extremely venomous to humans. Some, like the box jellies, can even kill people with enough contact of tentacle on bare skin.
Oof.
But most are not that dangerous, producing only a mild rash and some short-term pain. All cnidarians can reproduce asexually at some form of their development by budding off tiny clones of themselves or dividing themselves. But some cnidarians also reproduce sexually, releasing eggs and sperm into the water to fertilize and disperse with the currents, seeking new habitats.
And there are certain other creatures that take advantage of this. Like, they'll migrate to different areas and they'll just, like, somehow they know how to do this. Maybe it's just instinct, or maybe it's knowledge passed down from their forebears or something, but they'll know to go to certain areas on this, like a certain full moon, and then they'll just cruise through the water and eat all of this stuff. It's interesting stuff. I was thinking of whale sharks do this, but they don't do it with coral gametes, I don't think. They do it with, I think it's larval crabs or something like that. Yeah.
Corals in particular, which can't move, spread to other areas using this form of broadcast spawning.
Yeah, there you go. Broadcasting, exactly, Grilled Pikachu. You typed that just before you said it, but yeah.
Broadcast spawning.
Broadcast spawning.
For such simple animals, the cnidarians make a huge impact on the oceans.
And yet trees do the same thing, cooking fat, like with pollen, That's... those are sex cells that the trees release with the hopes that, you know, they release 1 million of them with the hopes that, like, one will actually get into another tree and then it'll produce seeds and, yeah. So it's like quantity over quality. That's broadcast spawning, like corals do. Yeah, and mycelium too. Exactly. Excuse me. Yeah. 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 And what are these guys first evolved? Cnidarians, I think they go back like close to 1 billion years, don't they? I think we have sea jelly fossils from like way back in the Precambrian. Yeah. Interesting that Wikipedia still says jellyfish. Yeah, but also known as sea jellies, yeah. Let's see. I want to know their evolutionary history. Taxonomy. Fossil history. Since sea jellies have no hard parts, fossils are rare. The oldest unambiguous fossil of a free-swimming medusa is Burgessomedusa from the Burgess Shale. Really? I thought we had ones way older than that. Okay, so 500 million years. About 500 million years ago. Other claimed records from the Cambrian of China and Utah in the United States are uncertain and possibly present ctenophores instead. Comb jellies. Okay. Evolutionary history. Let's see. They're extremely rare as fossils because they don't have any hard parts, obviously. 505 million years ago from the mid-Cambrian. Anyway, they probably go back significantly longer than that, I would imagine. But let's say 500 million years. Cnidarians have been around for at least that long. Yeah. And is there any evidence that those ancient jellyfish were carnivores? Well, they would have to have been coaceal because there weren't any plants at the time for them to eat. Most ocean organisms that eat other things, they're not eating plants. There's not that many, like, plants in the oceans. Yeah, most animals that live in the ocean are eating other animals. And then at the base of that food chain, you have things like phytoplankton. Some of which maybe you could call plants if you want to. You could call diatoms plants if you really wanted to, I guess. But yeah. Yeah, anyway.
Broadcast spawning.
Little critters, exactly, Claire.
For such simple animals, the cnidarians make a huge impact on the oceans. They're predators, reef builders, and drifters. It's hard to imagine what the blue world would be like without these squishy, stingy cnidarians.
Pretty cool. Lovely little video.
Hey everyone, have you subscribed to our...
Yeah, good stuff. Here's a link. Right there for you. And maybe we'll double dip here and see if there's a new Metazoa game available. Let's see here. Another dinosaur for a deep dive, Nothronychus. If that one's been done less, then we can do... I'm always happy to talk Nothronychus too, Baja Spencer. But we'll do Carnotaurus. That's got some nice video segments we can throw in there as well. And it also illustrates some points that we were talking about earlier. Because we've only got... Well, you can guess how many specimens of Carnotaurus we have. Okay, here's Metazoa. Let's... Oh, 6 minutes. Shoot. Well, let's do Carnotaurus real quick, and then we'll do another game of Metazoa. So. Baja Spencer has requested a dinosaur deep dive. Wants to know about Carnotaurus. If you've ever seen Disney's dinosaur film from the year 2000, or if you've seen one of the Jurassic World movies, I'm not sure which one, or read the book, The Lost World Jurassic Park, or been on the dinosaur ride at Disney World, then you've heard of this animal before. Carnotaurus. This is maybe one of the best known, maybe the best known abelisaur. Best known in the sense that we've got maybe the most skeletal information about this animal in particular. The name Carnotaurus means meat bull, or meat-eating bull, because of those distinctive horns that it's got over its eyes. This is a cool animal because it's very well known to the general public. And yet we've got very little scientific... Well, we've got very few specimens of it. But yeah, this was maybe this dinosaur's big introduction to the general public. This is kind of what made this dinosaur something of a pop culture star. This scene right here from the 2000 film Dinosaur from Disney. That animal did not live at this time. Long Esquelma. Actually, Parasaurolophus and Carnotaurus did not live at the same time either. They show it being so big here, too. Which, to be fair, we really don't know how big they got. Carnotaurus. So that animal was shown being really, really large there. It's not quite that big in life. It's about like that. You know? Not an enormous animal. And... the scale they chose there. Carnotaurus is from the latest Cretaceous of Argentina. So this is one of the last of the non-avian dinosaurs. At the same time that T-Rex is running around in North America, Carnotaurus is running around in South America, down in Argentina. And it is known from only one skeleton. It was a fairly complete skeleton. A beautiful skull. Much of the axial skeleton. Most of it until you get down to the tail. I'm guessing that the tail had probably already eroded away by the time that they found it. And probably same with the hind legs as well. Below the knees. The rest of it's gone. But this is from a group called the abelisaurs, and so we can use the bits and pieces of other abelisaurs to kind of fill in those gaps. And then come up with a full skeletal reconstruction. So, the abelisaurs they're mostly Gondwanan, so they're mostly from the southern continents. South America, Africa, I don't know if we have any from Australia yet, or Antarctica. We don't have any from Antarctica. We've got a couple from Europe, also. But these guys are mostly kind of restricted to South America and Africa. The abelisaurs. They tend to have these long hind legs, very, very short forelimbs. This, is this Rajasaurus or Majungasaurus here? It's pretty typical of the group. They also have a very, very long trunk. So, like, a long torso with extraordinarily short arms.
That gives the history of life its very quirky,
Sammy Kien, thank you for the 7 months.
Chancy character. We are literally here only because of the good fortune of dinosaur extinction.
Sammy Kien, thank you so much for subscribing for the past 7 months, keeping me on here. Appreciate that support. Yeah. So yeah. And that's a pretty decent reconstruction too. These guys have big heads, short snouts, extremely short arms. Sometimes to the point where they don't even really have an elbow anymore. Like their elbow can't flex. Yeah. And Carnotaurus is one of the better known of these guys. There's a wonderful clip I should show you too. Check this out here.
Finalmente chega uma fêmea.
Let's find the one with the Attenborough narration, shall we?
It's the work of a 2-ton, 12-foot-tall Carnotaurus, a male. Clearing this patch has taken him a long time.
Displacer says, in here I thought only Tyrannosaurids evolved tiny arms. No, a bunch of theropod groups do. Tyrannosaurs, Abelisaurs, some of the larger Allosaurids, dinosaurs like Alvarezsaurs, other theropods, critters like Chilesaurus, Limiosaurus. Yeah, having small, extremely reduced forelimbs is something that happens again and again and again within theropod dinosaurs, up to and including birds. Some, actually, I wonder if anybody can tell me, the only group of theropods that's ever completely lost its arms. One group of theropods, no more arms at all, not even a nubbin. Just totally gone. No more arm bones. You know this one, Lenina? Yeah. Anyway, we've already got some correct answers here. It's the Moa. Yeah. So, Moa were these gigantic, flightless birds that existed in New Zealand. And some of them completely lost their arms altogether. Not even a little fragment of a wing bone left. They're the only theropod dinosaurs to ever completely lose their arms. Yeah, and they were big animals. They could get very large. And it seems that they were probably hunted to extinction by people when people first showed up in New Zealand thousands of years ago. Yeah, these guys disappear shortly thereafter. So yeah. And they are related to emus, X-Newsme, yeah. But they still have the bones? Wait, do they still have... I'm not thinking of elephant birds, am I? I think it's moas that have completely lost their arm bones, right? Yeah. Search arm, and all I'm getting is farmer. They search wing. Yeah, the 9 species of moa were the only wingless birds, lacking even the vestigial wings that other ratites have. Very nice. So not even a single trace of wing bone left. Pretty interesting. Yeah. Oh, and emus still have wing bones. That's what Claire meant. Oh, gotcha, Lenina. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And Fall Machine says their mom should have tied a string to both arms and ran through the string through their coats so they wouldn't lose them. That always works. Like mittens, Fall Machine. Yeah. Anyway, Carnotaurus was probably on its way to completely losing its arms too, I think. They just never got there because that asteroid strikes, not too long after these guys evolve.
It's the work of a 2-ton, 12-foot-tall Carnotaurus.
Yeah.
A male.
And yet, moa were hunted by eagles. Win 528, yep.
Clearing this patch has taken him a long time.
See, it almost looks like he doesn't even have arms when you look at him from this view. There's the arm hiding right there. Yeah, very short arms.
And it needs constant attention if it is to remain tidy.
And hang on a minute, Moon Pie. Hey. How you doing, Moon Pie? Moon Pie is my third landlord here, and she has not made any appearances yet because she doesn't like treats. I'm going to see if I can get her to show up here, but she's going to be the most stubborn. Hey, Moon Pie. You want to come over here? Come here. She's just staring at me. Well, she'll come make an appearance if she feels like it. She's probably the most willful of all the cats. But yeah.
It's a stage on which he can show off to females.
And Dr. Irrefutable says, do we have any evidence to support this scenario? I'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. And Big TN, taxonomic ranks. Can you explain the ranks further and point me in the direction of resources books? Big TN, the thing about taxonomic ranks is they're not real. You're confused by them because they're arbitrary, because they don't matter, because they're just put in for our convenience. There's not actually anything real and biological about taxonomic ranks. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and the ranks aren't real. They're not. Big TN, no. When we're talking about anything above species isn't real when we're talking about ranks, Like genus, it's kind of arbitrary. When you get up into the higher ones, like class and order and kingdom, it's like these are just like neat little things that we've used to try and make sense of the world, but it's like different families, different orders, different suborders, different classes, kingdom. They're not actually like equivalent to one another. There's nothing like magical about them that makes them equivalent. It's just, these are just groups that we've come up with. Species are the only thing that are actually like real in a biological sense. And even that is squishy too. Genera are also real in that they're like they're species that share a common ancestor, so that would be a genus. But like different genera, one genus might have thousands of species and one genus might have one species. So like there's a certain degree of arbitrariness to them as well, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, species are fuzzy too. We've talked about that a lot. And the concept of like ring species and different species concepts, biological species versus morphological species, and some like species that are actually pretty disparate can still interbreed and stuff like that. Oh yeah. Yeah. And Big TN says, I'm pleased there's an explanation for I was struggling to follow through. It's struggling to follow though. Yeah, it's not your fault, Big TN. Nature is messy and complicated and complex and fascinating, and our attempts to put it in neat little boxes usually don't work very well. If that makes sense. Yeah. And yeah. The great question, Big TN, and I'm always touched when somebody's like, "Can you point me in the right direction for this? Because I don't quite get it." In this case, you don't get it because it's it's arbitrary. Yeah. Yeah. Nature will not be contained. Yes. We'll break free. Life finds a way. All that stuff, Lenina. Yeah. Yeah. Some people say that's the real lesson behind the film Jurassic Park. But I remember when I watched that with Ios for the first time. She had seen it before, but first time I ever watched it with her, she's like, "No, the real lesson in this movie is pay your IT people properly. Don't make them feel underappreciated, because they can mess things up." So yeah. Anyway. Carnotaurus.
Ready. And he announces the fact.
And Red Sledge, welcome to you. How you doing?
At last, a female arrives. She's bigger than the male and more powerful.
And Loki XVI, Loki 16. Dinosaurs indeed. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Dinosaurs are what I study, what I publish on, what I dig up during the summer. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. We're just doing a little deep dive on Carnotaurus here real quick. And there you go, Steely Dan, yep. Yeah.
Now, somehow, he must impress her. And he may only get this one chance.
Dino Riz. You're gonna see that, Harry.
She watches him carefully. If he is going to impress her, he must do so in the most extraordinary way. He doesn't have huge antlers, nor a spectacular tail. But he does have a pair of tiny, apparently useless arms.
Yep.
And each has a ball and socket joint at its base that enables him to move them independently.
Here's something stranger than and Loki, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Paleontologizing. This is, well, this is some speculation, but it is based on prehistoric fact here.
Not today. How could he have done better? Who knows? For now, it's back to litter picking.
Yeah. So, that is from Prehistoric Planet, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet. This has got some of the best depictions of dinosaurs ever put, I was going to say to film, but this is all digital. No film involved, to my knowledge. But it's excellent stuff, and you can watch it for free using that thing from the command right there. But yeah. And there you go, Paul Machine. So, how do we know that they did this? Well, we don't. It's speculative. When we're trying to figure out how dinosaurs would have behaved, we've got a few different ways to do that. We could make some educated guesses in some circumstances. By things like this. Dinosaur behavior doesn't always fossilize, so stuff like that is often unknown for dinosaurs. But if you need to make a documentary like this, and you need something that's plausible, something that makes sense, something that actually fits with the evidence, then a good framework for that, a good kind of thought experiment, is to use this. This is like a basic illustration of what we call the EPB, for dinosaurs at least. The extant phylogenetic bracket. So this is just a really simple family tree with dinosaurs there. Birds are living dinosaurs, so they're dinosaurs' closest living relatives. And then a bit further out, you've got crocodilians, who are kind of like cousins to the dinosaurs. So if there's something that we don't know for dinosaurs, like for instance, how did Carnotaurus attract mates? That's unknown here. Well, we can look at modern birds and see how they attract mates. We do the same thing for crocodilians, too. Crocodiles don't really factor too much into this particular one, but birds definitely do. A lot of birds have really complex mating dances. They often have bright, showy display structures, like you saw with the blue arms on the Carnotaurus. And so birds doing, like, mating dances, it's a thing that they definitely do today. It would make a lot of sense for bipedal theropod dinosaurs, the group that birds evolved from. It would make sense for theropods, like Carnotaurus, to do the same thing. And what's more, we actually have direct evidence of dinosaur mating dances. Let's see if I can find that.
This drawer contains almost all of the North American identified specimens of Troodon.
And Dan Uplate Gamer, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Yeah, check this out. Dinosaur tracks reveal odd mating dance. So these are some Allosauriod dinosaurs. These are like Carcharodontosaurs, probably pretty similar to Acrocanthosaurus. Did dinosaurs shake a tail feather? Some meat-eating theropods used fancy footwork to attract their mates, leaving behind fox-trotting tracks and rocks millions of years ago. An analysis of the newfound marks suggested that the first known evidence of a type of mating display, behavior known as scraping, common in modern ground-nesting birds. The dinosaur lads may have performed their paleo numbers in groups for a hopefully swooning female audience, the researchers say. It's pretty cool stuff. And Martin Lockley, who actually just passed away last month, or was it earlier this month? Really recently. He was like maybe the world authority on dinosaur tracks. He was co-author of this study, and he told Live Science that the scrape marks were unlike anything scientists have seen before. When Lockley and his colleagues first noticed the marks, the prints were partially covered with sand. We started cleaning them off and taking a closer look at them, and we knew right away that there was something unusual about them. More and more of these scrape traces emerged as the investigation widened, eventually revealing about 60 of them in one of the sites. We were calling them dinosaur digging traces, Lockley said at first. They're obviously made by the feet of the dinosaurs because we can see the claw marks. We can see two sides, a left and a right trough, with a ridge in the middle. Like, okay, we know what kind of dinosaur made them, a theropod, but what were they doing? And were they digging for water? Not likely, Lockley said. That's when Lockley and his colleagues realized they might find an explanation for these extinct dinosaurs' behavior and the behavior of dinosaurs alive today, modern birds. So when the scientists reviewed accounts of birds' mating display behavior, they hit pay dirt. Descriptions of an activity called nest scrape display and pseudo-nest building seem to produce similar marks to the ones that they found. During the breeding season, the males start to get excited and show off to their mates by scratching to say, look, I can build a nest, Lockley told Life Science. And they get so excited that they scratch and they move along and scratch again. They make dozens or hundreds of scratches in a short period of time. Yeah, and so it is kind of like a mating display kind of a deal. Kind of like the Carnotaurus walking around and clearing off that area of all the vegetation. Make it nice and clean. There are birds today that do that. Bowerbirds will do this. Oh yeah. It's pretty cool. Anyway, the actual paper is in Nature Scientific Reports. But here's a link to that press release right there. So there you go, Claire. Yeah. Maybe I can find a video of a bowerbird doing this. Yeah. Let's try here. Here we go. Yeah. So this is a bowerbird building a bower. One of these structures. And he'll also, this is a male, trying to impress the female there. He'll also clear away his space, make it nice and tidy and clean.
Junior returns to his own bower and tries to improve things.
Oh, no, that's not a female. That's a young male.
Go just here. Or maybe here. Perhaps he was right in the first place. He just can't make up his mind. This could take some time.
Anyway, so this is a behavior that modern dinosaurs carry out. And so that, combined with like the dancing thing, is kind of where the producers got their idea for the Carnotaurus mating display that you saw there. Does that make sense? Yeah. And Big TN says, I'd be lying if I said dancing and tidying up weren't a big part of how I got my wife interested. See? The system works. That's useful information for some of the chatters here, Big TN. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Anyway, back to Carnotaurus. Let's finish up this deep dive here. Really cool animal. It's kind of impressive to me that there are so many different plastic toys available for this dinosaur. It's fairly popular. Like, it's not necessarily one of like the big 6 or 7 dinosaurs that everyone in the general public knows. You know, like Tyrannosaurus, Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Brontosaurus, Velociraptor. It's not one of those most popular of dinosaurs, but it's like tier 2. Carnotaurus is one of the more popular dinosaurs around, as far as the general public is concerned. And yet, it's known from only one specimen. We've got one skeleton of Carnotaurus, as I'll show you. see. Known from a single well-preserved skeleton, it's one of the best understood theropods from the southern hemisphere, which kind of goes to show just how poorly understood Gondwanan theropods are for the most part. The skeleton, found in 1984, was uncovered in the Chubut province of Argentina from rocks of the La Colonia Formation. I think it's the same one as Argentinosaurus? No, not Argentinosaurus. Amargasaurus, I think. But yeah. And this is how much of it we actually have. Pretty decent amount. Most of the skeleton, just missing much of the tail and then the lower halves of both hind legs. But yeah, pretty cool. There's even preserved skin on it too, which is really cool. It's about as big as the animal got, although, since we only have one specimen, and to my knowledge, nobody's done any histo on it, we don't actually know how old this individual was when it died, and so it may not have been full grown. They may have gotten bigger than this too. Such a cool skull, and with preserved skin on it. Really, really neat. I mean, you've got scales, cornified sheath, and cornified cover. Cornified means keratinous. It's got keratin over the top of it. Or more or less, yeah. Let's look at the original descriptive paper from this animal from 1985. Right here, let me just find it. Open up my PDF library, and I'll find you the original descriptive paper from 1985. And that'll conclude our deep dive on this animal. Carnotaurus. We've got a decent number of papers on this animal, actually, which is cool. But this is the original here. Exciting stuff. A virtually complete articulated skeleton of a new genus and new species of Carnosauria. Carnotaurus sastri was recently collected from Cretaceous strata in northern Patagonia, Argentina. So this was how Carnotaurus was first announced to the scientific world at large. And take a look at that skull. You can see why it's become so popular. Like, why the public kind of fell in love with this dinosaur is like, just look at that. Look at that skull. It's got this really, like, fierce, pugnacious kind of look to it. Almost reminds me of an anglerfish or something like that, you know? It is a really neat animal, Anita. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It just... Ugh. Oh, man. And that's the paper. 1, 2, 3 pages. They wrote them shorter back then, you know? This is just kind of announcing this animal in the first place. Really cool. And Bahasmancer says, is it actually shorter or just taller? It's both, Bahasmancer. Short skull, but kind of expanded dorsally. There is an idea that these guys would have basically used their head like a hatchet, kind of opened their jaws and just went, wow, onto their prey like that. Kind of using those teeth to just go, like basically use their body like a big hammer to drive those teeth into their prey. Yeah. It would make sense, given how reinforced the skull is, how thick that maxilla is right there, how well fused everything is too. Like the fenestrae are actually, yeah, some of them are pretty large, like the postorbital fenestra there. But yeah, the eye would be right in here, in the orbit. There's the nostril, and there's the hole in the skull before the eye socket. The antorbital fenestra, as we call it. But yeah, but they may have also just run into their prey, like headbutted it. It's a possibility, you know? Yeah. And there's also an idea, too, that these guys would have not butted heads, but, like, shoved each other like this. I think I might have an illustration of that. Let me check. I want to say that...
Chuck! It's Marvin! Your cousin, Marvin!
Well.
You know that new sound you looking for? Well, listen to this!
Gaz the Kitman, thank you for the raid. Welcome to Paleontologizing. How are you doing? It's good to have you here. How was your stream? I hope it was excellent. Welcome to Paleontologizing. We're talking about this dinosaur, Carnotaurus, right now. And I was just trying to find an old illustration of this critter by Lewis Wright. I think it's in Greg Paul's old book. But in the Scientific American Book of Dinosaurs. Let me locate that. But yeah. Let's see. It should be in... Just recently reorganized my books and everything, so it's a challenge to find these things quickly enough. My Scientific American Book of Dinosaurs should be right along here. Not there. There it is. Literally behind the wooden slat on the bookshelf. That's why I couldn't spot it right away. But man, this is this takes me back. This is one of my very favorite books from when I was a kid. And this is cool because it actually reproduces some papers written on dinosaurs in Scientific American and elsewhere. Holy cow! Loki!
It's the last time I'll play with a dinosaur.
Loki, holy moly, thank you for those 50 gift subs. Loki16, that is extraordinary. Thank you very, very much. Holy cow. I really appreciate that. I don't even know what to say. That's extraordinary. Thank you so much, Loki. 50 gift subs. There's 50 people, 50 in the chat now who won't have to worry about any ads. Not just until next year, coming up in a few days, but until like February. Thank you so much, Loki. That is really excellent, and I really, really appreciate that. Holy cow. Extraordinary. Thank you very, very much. This is interesting, Loki, thank you for supporting Science Outreach here on Twitch. Thank you for helping support what I do. This is literally my full-time job. This is how I pay rent. This is how I make my living. This is how I fund my research and my fieldwork. So thank you. Sincerely, thank you very, very much for your generosity. That's pretty incredible. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Here, I was gonna show this off using my desk cam. Illustrations here. There we go. This is that Carnotaurus illustration that I wanted to find for you. By Lewis V. Ray. And I'm trying to use the manual focus on my camera to really get this in here. But I like how these are a little bit out of focus in the back. That's how he has a nice sense of depth. But this is a reconstruction of these animals. Yeah, kind of butting heads like that. They do have these really reinforced dorsal surfaces of their skull. Just the upper part of their skull is just really chonky and looks like it could kind of take an impact like that. So maybe they were using their skulls to butt heads. It's hard to say, because again, we only have one skeleton of Carnotaurus. Not that that's unusual. The majority of dinosaurs are known from usually just one skeleton. It's usually very fragmentary. At least for Carnotaurus, it's pretty
1,000 bits
complete.
can make a wonderful difference in promoting the appreciation and understanding of
Ironbark.
science here on Tulish.
Holy cow, 1,500 bits. Thank you so much, Ironbark. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. That's excellent. Yeah. Yeah. We're close to a hype train here. I think if we manage to get it, it's going to start off pretty high. There we go, because we had 50 gift subs earlier from Loki.
Murph gifted
Murph.
the subscription.
Thank you for that, Murph. Really appreciate it. And Vainglory, with 10 gift subs there. And look at this beautiful Tinamou bird trumpeting the arrival of those gift subs to those 10 lucky chatters. Uh-oh. Not again. Oh, shoot. Take cover.
Vainglory TX is overloading the system with 10 gift subs.
Thank you, Vainglory. That is excellent. Murph, Vainglory, Loki, and Ironbark, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. I really do. Holy cow. Excellent. And Dr. Irrefutable, thank you for being here. Thank you for the 300 bits.
I have to go. Thanks for the stream.
Thanks for the support, Dr. Irrefutable. I appreciate you. I really do. Yeah. And yes, we do have the horns on Carnotaurus. They're part of the skull right there. So here, let me show you. And Neolithic. Thank you,
Thank you,
Neolithic.
Danny, for the year of science. Can wait for next year.
I can't wait for next year either, Neolithic. Thankfully, it's not long to wait. It's a few days now. Thanks for the 21 months of support, Neolithic. I really appreciate that. Yeah, let's see if I can find you a picture of the original skull of Carnotaurus, the holotype skull. There's a photograph of it there. Yeah. And there's the horn right there. So what we're seeing, that's just the bony cores to the horns. That's just the core of it. There would have been a keratinous sheath over the top, made of, like, horn material. And so it could be these animals actually had significantly longer horns. There's an excellent illustration by R.J. Palmer. It's not outside the realm of possibility that they could have looked like this, you know? It's possible. We just don't know. And somebody else had fun with this too. Giving it different style horns here. Yeah, there's kind of a conservative one at the top left, but this is based on different bovids. And Vampire, thank you for the 200 bits. Yeah. So yeah, and the Longhorn one, I know, right? That's not super likely, but I don't know. That's the thing, is that most illustrations of these guys are pretty conservative, you know? They don't really go crazy with the horns, but, you know, they could have been longer. Like this. We really don't know. Yeah. What we need is more specimens. And maybe we'll get really lucky and we'll actually have one that has keratin preserved. Or maybe some aspect of another skull will give us some clue as to how much keratin was attached there or something. We really don't know, you know? And that's exciting. Carnotaurus, we've got a lot of information about this animal because we've got a fairly complete skeleton, but it's still just one skeleton. Oh yeah. With big horns looks... Yeah, isn't that cool, Anyan? Yeah. And Science Streams, thank you for the 100 bits there. 200 bits, rather.
Cheated? Try blaming the dinosaurs.
Thank you, BJ White, for the 100 bits. Excellent. We're at a level 7. See, I told you this is going to be a good hype train if we got it going. With those 50 gift subs from Loki, holy cow. It's excellent. And those subs are on sale right now, aren't they? 20% off or something like that? BJ White, how are you doing, by the way? I don't think I've ever seen you here before. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Yeah, and Kuasil says, what's that horn behind you next to the Paleontologizing sign? Kuasil, great question. Oh, 25% off. Ooh, very nice, Loki. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, this is, well, let me ask you, what do you think it is? What do you think this is? It's 3D printed, obviously. I don't have a lot of real fossils here in my office, given that I'm not streaming to you from a museum right now. You see what it is, Claire? Nice. Yeah, it is life-size. Yeah, and you know this one, Belen. We were talking about this on your stream the other night. Yeah. So to everyone who said that this is a Triceratops horn, it is not. No. It looks a lot different from a Triceratops brow horn. And way, way different from a Triceratops nasal horn. It is a stegosaur tail spike. From Stegosaurus in particular. Yeah. Let me show you. This is a particularly big one, but it is a stegosaur tail spike from the end of the tail. So this is going to be from one of the two distalmost spikes there. See how it gets much broader right there? Yeah. And this was almost certainly a defensive weapon. To be used against predatory dinosaurs who wished to make a meal out of Stegosaurus. You would not want this thing making contact with your body. Holy cow. Especially since this is, again, just the bony core right here. In life, this would have been covered by a sheath of keratin. That's why you've got these grooves that run up it like this. You see these grooves along here? These are what we call, like, blood vessel grooves for supplying the keratinous sheath with nutrients. Keratin's basically material like your fingernails or like the horn of a rhinoceros. So in life, this would have been even longer and sharper. And I mean, think about the kind of damage that this could do with that tail really swinging towards you, like, even if you're a large theropod dinosaur like Ceratosaurus, Allosaurus, Torvosaurus, you would want to steer clear of this thing. This could end you, even if you are a 30-foot long, 9-meter theropod. Oh yeah. Put this back up here carefully. And then just like this. Like that. Yeah, like that. There we go. Excellent. And do I have a clip about this? Let me look. Maybe not, but let's see if I can find you one. Here we go. Take a look at this. From Paleo World. It was called Jurassica in the UK.
United States Army. A Chinook helicopter, the workhorse of the military, was ideal for transporting an armor-plated dinosaur from the battlefield.
So there's a stegosaur being medevaced, about 145 million years too late.
3 lone tail spikes were recovered intact.
Yeah.
But the 4th was horribly deformed.
Yeah.
And it was broken in half.
Yowza.
To find out what had caused such a debilitating injury, Ken
Ironbark says, on paper a Chinook isn't supposed to be able to fly? No, you got to build it out of metal, Ironbark. Paper's not going to work.
Called in medical imaging specialist Laurie McWhinney.
I thought about the trauma when I first saw this. I thought, geez, what could have happened that this spike
You knew that was coming, and yet you went through with it.
ended up in this condition. It's definitely was different from what I was seeing with the other spikes. And I just couldn't imagine what force it could have taken to have this particular spike end up like this.
Yeah, because it's a thick piece of bone with keratin over it,
Spikes were made of bone.
Well, hopefully you didn't need a CAT scan to tell. Oh, yep. This bone here, you know what? It's made of bone.
In a healthy stegosaur, the bone grows in layers, like the rings of a tree, which makes it strong.
You can tell by how it is, exactly,
But a
Claire.
scan of the broken spike showed it was weakened by massive internal damage.
And Kuasil says, can you always distinguish between fighting injuries or damage done by the folding of the earth? Great question, Kuasil. We can't always tell. Well, we can tell if a bone has been deformed because it's been in the ground for a long time and the weight of the rock layers above it has deformed it. But we can't always tell whether the bone was broken before or after the animal died. Sometimes, bones get broken after the animal has already perished. But we can tell that it happened during the animal's lifetime if it shows evidence of healing, because it shows that, the animal was alive while this broke, and then the bone, it lived long enough for it to start to heal. In this case, it's the latter. Like, we can tell that this animal, was alive and this had tried to heal and it just didn't go well, Yeah.
Which makes it strong. But a scan of the broken spike showed it was weakened by massive internal damage.
Yeah. Attractive Cactus says you can't tell if the bone got broken shortly before it died. Yeah. So say that, a dinosaur gets killed by another dinosaur and a bunch of its bones are broken in the process. We wouldn't be able to tell if those bones were broken before or after the animal died, most likely. Only if the animal survives the encounter and the bones are given time to heal can we tell that the injury happened while it was alive. Yeah.
Bacterium would have entered in through the wound and virtually ate away the bone inside.
Yowza.
This would have compromised the structure of this bone. Also, you would probably notice pus pockets, areas where pus would have oozed out from the sores.
After the spike was broken off, the bone began to die. Eventually, the stegosaur developed the bone-wasting condition, osteomyelitis.
Yowza.
But what could have broken a bone stronger than an elephant's tusk? Laurie McWhinney thinks the stegosaur may have swung its tail and accidentally hit a tree. The force of the blow stunned her. Now she was easy prey for Allosaurus. But she did not die in combat.
Nope.
Ken Carpenter found her lying in what was once a small pond. Drought had made the land dry and food scarce. A fire sparked by a thunderstorm swept away the remaining vegetation. Dazed and riddled with infection, she was too weak to move and may have died of malnutrition.
Yowza.
But others of her kind would be more successful, because Stegosaurus was armed with more than just a tail spike. At least 17 plates, 16...
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the plates right now, really, but, yeah. By the way, that woman you saw there at the CAT scan machine, Lori McWhinney, now has a dinosaur named after her.
Stegosaur. The bone grows in land.
This force, it definitely...
What had caused such a debilitating injury? Ken called in medical imaging specialist Lori McWhinney.
So Lori McWhinney now has an ankylosaur named after her, Gastonia Lori McWhinney. And I love that because it's her first and last name, Lori McWhinney. Jim Kirkland, did Jim Kirkland name that one? I think he did. Or maybe Ken Carpenter did. I'm not sure. But anyway, whoever named it really wanted to make sure that Lori McWhinney was afforded all of the honor due to her for her work on armored dinosaurs. So yeah. Anyway, good stuff. So yeah, a Stegosaur tail spike. That's what that is. I need to find a better way to light that. It's tricky. Like, I probably just need to paint it a lighter color, honestly. But yeah. Anywho, we can now do a second game of Metazoa, because I'm sure it's been more than 6 minutes. Yeah, there we go. So if any of you are planning to do this tomorrow, maybe look away for the next couple minutes, because, well, shoot. We're going to give away the answer here. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to beat today's level, I guess. Metazoa. For those of you who weren't here for the first one today, this is a guessing game. It's kind of like Wordle, but rather than guessing a word, I'm trying to figure out what the mystery animal of the day is, using phylogeny, using, like an evolutionary family tree. So,
hold on to your butts.
Let's do it. So, our mystery animal is here. We got to find out what it is. And let me try the same technique I did earlier, trying to guess any species, but let's do a manatee today, another placental mammal. And ooh, okay. That's paid off so far. We know it's a eutherian mammal. So eutherians they're placental mammals, basically. So it excludes monotremes and marsupials. So basically every mammal that's alive today that's not a monotreme or a marsupial is a eutherian. Let me show you. Let's go to mammals on our tree of life. Yeah. And read the hint there, Jody Fish? I don't want to read the hint. I want to do this blind, No backseating here, please. Yeah, so this is going to be a mammal. But more than that, it's a eutherian mammal. So again, it's not going to be a monotreme or a marsupial. Eutherian mammal. Yeah, a placental mammal. And so I guessed manatee, which is a dugong. These guys are afrotheres. If it were another afrothere, if it were any of these creatures, like elephant shrews, tenrecs, golden moles, sengis, elephants, aardvarks, then it would have said Afrotheria. But no, Eutheria is the closest we've gotten with this guess. So we know it's definitely not an Afrothere, so we can cross this clade off. It could still be a... used to call... Oh, yeah, it could be... Yeah, I guess they're still called xenarthrans. Could still be a xenarthran. But they're not very specious, so I'm guessing it's not. It's probably going to be a Boroeutherian. I might go ahead and look for a carnivoran. I'm going to guess a carnivoran here, and we'll see if that gets us close. There's a lot of carnivorans. So let's try... let's try tiger. See if we can knock out those cats. Oh, shoot, it is a cat. Oh, okay. So it's within Felidae. Very nice. Very nice. Well. Let's find our carnivorans. Where are they? Now let's just go up to Felidae, the cats. Yeah. So, it's probably not going to be a big cat. It's not going to be within genus Panthera, because then it would have showed me that. So, Panthera. They're called roaring cats here. I like that. So tigers, lions, jaguars, leopards are all within genus Panthera. We know it's not one of these. And Bella Pigra, it could be a caracal. Welcome to Paleontologizing, by the way. It's good to have you here. I'm not sure. Let's just look at cat. Bobcat is an option, because it doesn't have every animal on here. I want to find out what we've got. Bobcat. Or a cat. Let's try cat, like domestic cat. Ooh, and it's within Felinae, but it's not a domestic cat. It's not Felis catus. Let's find the domestic cat here. There we go. So, if it were within genus Felis, it would show us that. So it's not going to be any of these. It's not going to be a jungle cat, domestic cat, sand cat, etc. It could be a caracal, because that's a different genus. It could be a serval. Or it could be a bobcat. That's genus name Lynx. Lynx rufus is the American bobcat. Let's try bobcat. I probably should have chosen lynx instead. Because here, lynx is the genus name. We did bobcat. Bobcat is Lynx rufus. It's going to be Lynx canadensis, isn't it? The American lynx? North American lynx? Well, let's see here. Well, let's look at this clade. Lynx and more. Eurasian lynx, Iberian lynx, Canada lynx, bobcat. It's gotta be... I guess we just type in lynx. We don't have to type in the genus and species name. Lynx canadensis. So, yep. This is gonna be it. And it is the Eurasian lynx. Not Lynx canadensis. But lynx... Lynx. Well. Excellent. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. 8 plays, 8 wins. Perfect record so far. Yeah. The lynxiest lynx of them all. The lynxiest lynx that ever lynxed. G1, yeah. What a cool game. Isn't this neat, Anandusha? Yeah. So nice, and we got to do 2 of these today because it might be on Greenwich Mean Time or something, but the page refreshed. There's only supposed to be 1 per day, 1 game per day. But here in my time zone, I can do both of them. I can do Saturdays on Friday afternoon here, which is nice. We did Fridays and we did Saturdays. Not too shabby. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. So this is the thing, when you're a paleontologist, especially a vertebrate... Well, no, not even just a vertebrate paleontologist. When you're a paleontologist, you're not just looking at fossils, you're also thinking about animals as living creatures. And you're looking at living animals for all kinds of clues about how your extinct animals would have lived, behaved, what they would have looked like, and everything else, you know? So yeah. And kind of going on with that theme, we had a video today that I thought would be kind of neat called T-Rex Exposed from way back in 1991. Holy cow, that's like, I don't know about you, chat, but that's like 40 years before I was even born, right? Definitely not the year I was born. Certainly not. Anyway. Let's check it out from PBS Nova. Is that against TOS? I think it's grandfathered in, Gene Wen. Yeah.
Tonight on Nova, the most complete Tyrannosaurus Rex ever found is unearthed in Montana. It's our best look yet at the king of the...
Bob Hartman!
He's been the world's favorite for nearly a century, but also one of the least understood. Until now. T-Rex is getting his first complete physical, shedding new light on some old mysteries. What was the king really like? T-Rex Exposed.
All right. This is going to be fun, and you're going to see... Oh shoot, one of our emotes is actually this particular Tyrannosaurus specimen that you're going to see here.
For Nova is provided by the Wine and ended by...
Have we watched this? Yeah, the tail, what is wrong with the tail? The tail's like twice as long as it should be. Oh boy. I've always wondered about this, you know? The tail has got way too many vertebrae in it. It should be like, it should end about here, you know? I don't get it. Whatever.
This version of Tyrannosaurus Rex is a swift, agile
Plotting tail.
A different version is on display in the Carnegie Museum in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, way outdated.
This is the original T-Rex.
Yeah.
A pose created by Henry Fairfield Osborn in 1905.
Pose is totally
the
wrong.
Stiff, upright posture belongs to a lumbering monster. An image that stuck for decades.
Yep. Nowadays, if you go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, CMNH, Tyrannosaurus, to the Carnegie Museum of Natural History, they've remounted it. So it looks like this now. It's in a proper pose. Actually, a really excellent pose. I like this one a lot. That's the holotype of T-Rex. The original one. The one that T-Rex was named based on. And does anybody know why, you know, it was originally dug up by Barnum Brown for the American Museum of Natural History. Does anybody know why the original T-Rex is now in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Anybody know? And yeah, it does have the furcula there, the wishbone. Good spot, Ladina. Why did they move this one to Pittsburgh? What happened? Miss Yvette says it's from there. It's not from there. It's from Montana originally. Yeah. Well, shoot. Because it's always sunny in Pittsburgh. You're thinking of Philadelphia, Tony. Pittsburgh won a bet. Birthplace of Barnum Brown? No, Barnum Brown was born in Carbondale, Kansas. Clara Burr. And Gene Wen is correct. Yes, indeed. It was a wartime evacuation. At the time, the only 2 Tyrannosaurus skeletons in the world were both in New York City, in Central Park West, in the American Museum of Natural History. And some paleontologists started to get a little nervous about this. It's like, well, shoot, we've got the only 2 T-Rex skeletons ever found in this one building in New York City during World War II. Everyone was afraid that maybe the Germans would bomb New York. And that the same thing would happen to, well, it hadn't happened yet, but there were a number of different dinosaurs that were completely destroyed, lost forever during World War II. In the UK, in Germany, in... I forget the third. There's some other ones too. And so they decided to sell this Tyrannosaurus specimen to the Carnegie Museum in Pittsburgh. Not because they needed the money, but because they figured, well, shoot, if either of these museums gets bombed, both of them on the east coast of the U.S., they were afraid that those museums would be within range of German bombers. They weren't, but anyway, they wanted at least one of them to survive. Luckily, they both did. Yeah. And Roman Wav says, you dress exactly like I imagine a paleontologist would. I'm glad I meet your expectations there, Roman. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. No, I often wear some of the same shirts that I wear when I'm out in the field digging dinosaurs. Here, when I'm in my office. When I'm streaming. Yeah. I don't always, but I usually do. Anyway, it's good to have you here, Rowan. How did you find out about the channel, if you don't mind my asking? That would be useful information. Pittsburgh already looked like it had been flattened. Oh no, Tommy Plotticus. I'm sure it's a lovely city. I've never been there myself. But anyway, this is how... Shoot, even in 1990 or 1991, this is how the T-Rex was mounted in Pittsburgh. Nowadays, it looks much better. Like that. And, oh shoot, let's take a look at... I've got a little video here.
During the summer of 1902, prolific fossil hunter Barnum Brown discovered the first bones of the skeleton of a huge meat-eating dinosaur on a hillside in eastern Montana.
Yeah.
3 years later, in 1905, he collected the remainder of the specimen, consisting of about 40 bones in total, including much of the skull, and shipped it to his employer, the American Museum of Natural History in New York City.
Yep.
Later that year, Henry Fairfield Osborn of the American Museum published a formal paper in which he officially and forever designated the skeleton as the type or name-bearing specimen of a new species that he called Tyrannosaurus rex.
Yep.
That skeleton, by definition, the world's first fossil, the world's most famous dinosaur, stands here in the Dinosaurs in Their Time exhibition at Carnegie Museum of Natural History. You might be wondering, if this T-Rex skeleton originally belonged to the American Museum in New York, then how did it come here to Pittsburgh?
We were just talking about this. See, you can check and see if I know what I'm talking about here. Let's see if Matt Lamana here has got the same story. Wait, I know, lol. There you go, Emily. And Roman says, Science and Technology recommended stream. That's good to hear, Roman. Excellent. Yeah. Well, where... Actually, that makes me want to check. Let's sort by viewer count. Yeah, wow. Hello. Top of science and technology category. Good stuff. Very nice. Very nice. Anyway. Yeah. Christy says, I was playing it one day, my goddaughter sees it. Is that the man from your Twitch TV? The guy from Dinosaur Fossil Hunter? That's really funny. Does he look that much like me? No, totally different. See, he doesn't have a beard. Yeah, and different hat. Yeah. That's also not how this works with the Twister. But I'm just tickled that there is a game where it's a paleontologist simulator game. Like, that's so cool. Anyway, I played this on stream. I got contacted by Pyramid Games, and I was, like, given special access to an early version of the game. They wanted me to stream it. And if you go to the Steam page, they actually have some of my gameplay on there that goes in a little video loop on the Steam page. Yeah. And some pretty big streamers have played this. I was happy to see that. Cool, Ladina. I didn't know some pretty big streamers played. You shave. Stop being silly. Christians. Yeah. Oh, and thank you, Fish Geek, for subscribing there. I appreciate it. Oh, I hope I'm not... Moobot picked up on that. I hope I'm not, like, shouting people out when they specifically don't want to be given shout-outs. If that is the case, Fish Geek, I apologize. I'm not trying to blow up your spot. Let's get back to this video here.
At Carnegie Museum of Natural History. You might be wondering, if this T-Rex originally belonged to the American Museum in New York, then how did it come here to Pittsburgh? The answer is simple. In 1941, Carnegie Museum of Natural History bought this Tyrannosaurus from the American Museum. The price? $7,000, worth about $150,000 in today's money. Although, of course, $150,000 is a lot of money by almost anybody's standards, when you consider that another museum purchased a T-Rex skeleton for $8.36 million in
Yeah, they got ripped off. That's a lot of people won't say this. Matt Lamana might not say this, but it's true. The Field Museum got ripped off when they bought Sue. Holy cow. Just crazy inflation on dinosaurs. That cost like a few $1,000s to dig up. Probably fewer than less than $50,000 to dig up, I would guess. 8.36 million. Ugh. Yeah. Anyway.
1997, or more than 100 times what the Carnegie Museum paid for the type specimen in today's money, it would appear that the American Museum gave the Carnegie one of the greatest deals since the age of dinosaurs.
Yeah, but he doesn't mention that it was because the Nazis were trying to bomb New York City. But anyway, yeah, just the point is, I guess, don't buy dinosaur fossils. It's not a good thing to do. You're gonna get ripped off most likely, and yeah. Anyway, and I saw the documentary on Sue. Do you know if it's accurate? Yeah, you're talking about, what is it, Dinosaur 13, Baja Spencer? Oh boy, not a fan. Not a fan. Yeah. Don't buy them, 3D print them. There you go. G-cubed? Yeah. Notes from Krautland says, I'm living in a city that was mostly obliterated in 1943. Oof. Yeah, Krautland. It's... I'm not going to get into a discussion about... you know, carpet bombing cities and how it's not advisable, or I don't know. I don't believe that should have ever been done. It's a shameful thing that happened, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Anyway. I'm really glad that countries like Germany and Japan have been able to rebound after World War II. Yeah, and London also, and I don't know. And we're not going to get into that. But yeah, the whole strategic bombing thing was folly from the start. Even militarily, it just doesn't make sense. But, yeah. Let's continue.
But it may not be what Osborn intended. As director of the American Museum of Natural History, Osborn was a dinosaur showman with a taste for spectacular displays.
Yep. And spectacular names, too. Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'm convinced that part of the appeal of this dinosaur to this day is its incredible, just top-tier name. Maybe one of the best names ever given to a dinosaur was given to this big theropod by Henry Fairfield Osborn in 1905, was it? Yeah. Branding is clever, yes. You know what else Henry Fairfield Osborn named? Which other dinosaurs were named by Henry Fairfield Osborn? Some other really, really good names. Anybody know? One of the most famous dinosaurs nowadays that became a star in film Jurassic Park. And you are correct, Emily. Velociraptor, also named by Henry Fairfield Osborn. So yeah. Jody Fish says Triceratops. Triceratops was actually named earlier, back in 1889, by Othniel Charles Marsh. This is before Osborn's day. But it's also a good name, isn't it? Triceratops, three-horned face. But yeah, Velociraptor, named by Henry Fairfield Osborn in 1924. A bunch of different mammal names, too, that have stood the test of time, and Osborn did as well. Yeah. So it wasn't until 1905 that we had the classic mashup? Yeah. We knew about Triceratops long before we knew about T-Rex. For certain.
Taste for spectacular displays.
Actually, not long before, but
he made scale models of T-Rex in dynamic fight scenes. But the actual fossil bones were too heavy to mount in these off-balance postures. And in the end, Osborn had to settle for the static, upright pose that became our standard image of T-Rex.
Yep.
Professor Osborn found the first skeleton.
And notes from Krautland says, if you ever do a stream that dives into the beginnings and history of paleontology, I hope I won't miss it. That's my next stream, Krautland, on New Year's Eve. Sunday night. We're talking about that. Yeah, and the Crystal Palace dinosaurs, Victorian paleontology, the very origins of dinosaur science. That's my next stream. I hope you can be here for that, yeah. Yeah.
And he wanted to mount it like this, up and active. But the engineers couldn't produce the ironwork. We worked with hollow fiberglass casts and could bring Osborn's dream to life. Why did Osborn believe this great animal was so active?
When Bakker keeps going like this, you know, it really feels like he's acting rather than, I don't know, it feels kind of like an affectation, you know? He's good on camera here, but he got even better later on, I would say. But yeah. But yeah, the Tristan Otto specimen, that was a commercial specimen that was sold to a museum in Germany, I think, Gene. And yeah, you know how I feel about commercial specimens. But yeah. And dinosaur fossil hunters on consoles now? That's awesome, Hugo. That's really cool. Yeah. And when they have missing bones, do they make it to complete the skeleton? Yes, Lumiere, yeah. Which actually, I think we have another video from AM&H about that, don't we? let's see here. There you go.
In 1908 in Montana, paleontologists uncovered this. The remains of a sharp-toothed carnivorous dinosaur.
And it wasn't 1908, it was 1902 and then 1905, right?
At the time, it was...
Unless we're talking about the second specimen. This might be AMNH 5207, I think?
The largest one ever discovered. They called it Tyrannosaurus rex. Today, it's mounted here. Well, some of it is. Because they didn't find a full dinosaur in 1908. What they found
we
was
almost
the
never
skull,
do.
most of the tail, the rib cage, pelvis, and most of the vertebrae. But the rest of what you're seeing here, it's man-made. And that's true for most dinosaur exhibits. When paleontologists uncover the bones of a dinosaur, they usually only find part of it, leaving them with a prehistoric puzzle full of missing pieces. So, how do they fill in the blanks?
Well, I can tell you this right off the bat. We look at closely related animals, closely related dinosaurs, and basically we use them to fill in the missing pieces. Oh, and shoot, I didn't realize it's already almost 6:15 right now. I'm going to have to wrap up the stream pretty soon to have dinner. But that won't be the end of tonight's streams, by the way. We're going to be having a special cocktail hour stream on Lordy's channel. I'm going to be there, so tune in for that. But, yeah.
First started mounting dinosaurs.
And, Sothi St. Going, well, thank you for the 17 months of support there. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry the alert is delayed. But yeah. Trooper says, where are the missing bones? Well, they're gone. They weren't fossilized in the first place, most likely. A lot can happen between when an animal dies and then when it gets buried. Shoot, let's watch this classic video real quick.
Here's a step-by-step guide to becoming a fossil.
So, do you want to become a fossil? This is how you do it. And here's how it gets complicated.
Here's a step-by-step guide to becoming a fossil. Step 1, die. Once you are dead, your remains may be scavenged by other organisms.
This is where you can lose pieces. Step 2. One of the very many ways when you can lose pieces.
Get buried fast. If you are buried rapidly, your remains won't completely decay or be carried away by scavengers.
So sometimes scavengers come and they eat parts of your carcass, you know? As scavengers do. That's why getting buried fast really, really helps. And so with that particular Tyrannosaurus, there might have been other T-Rex chewing on it, eating some of those bones. Yeah.
Your best bet for rapid burial is to...
Like what happens to whales. There you go, Ensign Rick. Yeah, absolutely.
Where water can deposit sediment over you. Step 3.
Yeah, shoot, with whales in particular, you know what a whale fall is, right, everybody? Like when a whale dies and then sinks down to the bottom of the ocean, and then within a couple years, or a few years, everything will be eaten by scavengers, including the bones. There are certain worm species that specialize in eating whales' bones. So even the bones themselves will be eaten away by worms and by various kinds of bacteria, microorganisms, stuff like that. They do nourish a whole ecosystem. Exactly, Emily. Yeah.
Soak in groundwater for a long, long time. Groundwater contains minerals. Over time, dissolved minerals can harden after filling in cavities in your skeleton. Or the water can dissolve your skeleton,
hagfish,
leaving only minerals in its place.
There you go, Jerry Rick.
Either way, your skeleton will turn to stone, and you'll be a fossil. Step 4, wait to be exposed. As the years go by, if you're lucky, sea levels can fall or rock can erode and expose you. Then, if your luck holds out, you might get spotted by a fossil hunter. And wind up in a museum collection where scientists can study you to learn about evolution.
That's the dream there, you know? Yeah, but it's usually not that simple. Where, like, you erode out with a dinosaur skeleton, for instance, a Tyrannosaurus skeleton, the way that we find these in the first place is that there are bones exposed on the surface. They've already been exposed by erosion, but that same process that uncovers it also destroys the bones on the surface. So usually you're finding bone fragments that are already exploded. You dig in and hopefully there's unexploded parts, intact bones there under the surface. But the bones that were exposed by erosion, usually they're already gone. And so that might have happened with this Tyrannosaurus specimen in particular.
And most of the vertebrae. But the rest of what you're seeing here, it's man-made.
Yep. So the end of the tail, this was probably already just destroyed by erosion. Or maybe it just, I don't know. Given that there's one real bone right there, one real caudal vertebra, tailbone. Maybe Barnum Brown just didn't bother to dig the rest of this out. I know the one of the original Tyrannosaurus specimens, it might have been this one, was under just incredibly difficult rock. Just incredibly hard to work. And he was like complaining about this to no end in his letters to Henry Fairfield Osborn. Just extraordinarily difficult rock, what we might call ironstone colloquially, even though it's not true ironstone. But yeah, but the legs, they were probably gone already too. Maybe they eroded. Maybe they were carried away by scavengers. It's hard to say.
And that's true for most dinosaur exhibits. When paleontologists uncover the bones of a dinosaur, they usually only find part of it, leaving them with a prehistoric puzzle full of missing pieces. So, how do they fill in the blanks?
We mostly look at close relatives.
When we first started mounting dinosaurs in the 1900s, researchers had to make a lot of educated guesses. The first step was to get the bones they did have in the right places. And one thing that helped is to look at animals that exist now.
What we call comparative anatomy.
Tyrannosaurus rex, and we can see a lot of characteristics
Mark Norell
that are present in, like chickens, for instance.
Dr. Mark Norell runs the paleontology division at the American Museum of Natural History.
If you look at the feet, it has 3 primary toes that all face forward. It has an S-shaped neck. It carries its backbone parallel to the ground.
And from there, they had to start filling in the missing pieces. For this T-Rex, both hind limbs and both front limbs were missing. But judging by the skeleton, researchers determined it was closely related to an Allosaurus. So an artist was commissioned to hand-carve the missing pieces, using the Allosaurus skeleton as a reference. Years later, they'd be replaced by replicas of real T-Rex bones. It turned out that T-Rex feet do look a lot like Allosaurus feet.
To a certain extent, Tyrannosaurus has got what we call the arctometatarsalien condition, where these metatarsals here are all pinched together, which is not the case in Allosaurus. I wish they'd shown a view from the front so we could tell, but yeah. Also, we're looking at a right foot of an Allosaurus here and a left foot of T-Rex. So it's not a perfect comparison, but yeah.
But there were other times this kind of guesswork didn't work out so well. This long-necked dinosaur is called an Apatosaurus, but for a long time, we called it something else. When researchers originally discovered it, it was missing...
There, hang on. Come here, sweetie. There you go. Yeah. Sweetie pie, I have a treat for you. Yeah. Do you see it there? There you go. Oh, all right. Thanks for stopping by, sweetie pie. I'll
If
see
you're
you
feeling
later.
a bit cheated, try blaming the dinosaurs.
Kitty beaties.
Thank you, Lordy, for those 100 bits. I really appreciate that. Good stuff. And how long have you had the cat? It's really more the other way around, Attractive Cactus. The cat was here first. I just moved in. Also, according to the deed, the cats own the house. So, they're my landlords. I'm their tenant. Yeah. There you go, sweetie pie. Did you enjoy that? Is that good stuff? You want to come back up here? Or you're just going to stare at me? She's like, you better come up and have dinner soon. All right, sweetie, I will. Yeah. Anyway. Where were we? Here. Oh! Hang on a second. She's back. Yeah, there you go, sweetie. Well, let's get a better view here. There you are. Yeah. What do you think, sweetie pie? What do you think? Do you want another treat? Is that what you wanted? Alright. I've only got like 2 or 3 more in here. Look, over here. There you go. There you go. Good stuff. Oh. Gotta pay rent. Exactly, right, Murph? Yeah. 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 That's like, this is my streamer. Yes. Look at me. I am the captain now. I am the streamer now. Jesus. Trying to. There we go. You can kind of see me now. Yeah, it's a sweetie pie stream. We're all just guests in it, you know? Yeah. I need to put another camera over here because this is a popular cat sitting place, and it is just directly in the line of sight. Yeah, you are very fluffy, huh, sweetie pie? Oh, okay, I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by. Alright, let's, well, I'll just give you a link to the rest of this. Well, no, let's continue it.
Neck dinosaur is called an apatosaurus, but for a long time, we called it something else. When researchers originally discovered it, it was missing its skull, so they made it one.
Yep.
But they made the skull based on some bad assumptions.
They made it look like a Camarasaurus.
They made the skull look like a Camarasaurus, which is a very different group of dinosaurs. So it has a very high domed skull.
So they put the Camarasaurus skull on the Apatosaurus body and gave the new dinosaur a name, Brontosaurus.
The skull with the name Brontos, like, they would have still called it Brontosaurus even if they hadn't put the wrong skull on it. Those two things are not really connected in that way, you know?
The error was finally corrected in the 1970s. The skull was replaced with a new, more accurate version, and Brontosaurus was renamed Apatosaurus.
So it wasn't renamed, it was just realized that Apatosaurus and Brontosaurus were the same dinosaur. Apatosaurus was the one that was published first, and so that's the name that stuck. Yeah. It seems like everyone gets that wrong.
But today,
there you go,
I
Real
can
Man Group
confidently
Beards, yeah.
walk you through the fossil hall in a museum and say
It was Camarosaurus was, of course, a competitor with Mustangodon and with Dodge Chargersaurus. You know, they all tried to occupy the same niche. Fierce competitors.
these skeletons are 99 to 100% accurate, because designing exhibits now, it has very little to do with guesswork. Today, the field of paleontology has exploded to the point where we're uncovering almost one new dinosaur species a week.
Today, there's more dinosaur paleontologists than there ever have been. There's more dinosaurs being discovered than there have been at a quicker rate each year.
And with more dinosaurs comes more accurate exhibits. While we still haven't found a fully intact T-Rex, we now have the information to build one.
When I first got my job here 30 years ago, there was about 10 T-Rexes known, and now there's 46. So if we just put all those together, we know what the whole skeleton looked like.
So this T-Rex is ultimately kind of a Frankenstein monster. The pieces used to complete it were copied from various other T-Rexes.
Yep. Cool stuff. Anyway, I promised that I would be done with my stream before 6:30 today, and so it's time to wrap this up. But I'll give you a link to this video here, and don't go away just yet. I will be streaming again later tonight on a different channel. So stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead and begin our wrap-up procedure here with a Deinonychus skull to run our credits over. And let's find somebody to raid into for the time being. In like an hour and a quarter or something, I'm going to be streaming again. Well, let's go see what Science Streams is up to. Valent and Lita are both on tonight, doing some science news of the week. So if you want to hang out with two other scientists, then you're in luck. Valent and Lita are molecular and systems biologists. They study ant genes and DNA, flatworms, and all kinds of really cool kind of small creatures that you can easily fit into a laboratory setting and run experiments on. It's always a good time hanging out with Science Stream, so we're going to go see what they're up to. Thank you to everybody who's showing up here in the credits. Appreciate you more than you know. All of those gift subs today, all of the incredible support. Holy moly, gift subs and bits, and also follows and raids and everything else. Thank you, everybody. We hope to make this a wonderful stream. I appreciate you very, very much. I'm humbled and honored to be able to bring you science content like this. Join me for the New Year's Eve stream, day after tomorrow. And join me on Lordy's channel. Can we get a shout out for Lordy real quick? I'm having a cocktail hour stream with her and Ios and special guest Delta Rain, who is here in the San Francisco Bay Area, in person. So come hang out with us in a little over an hour. Anyway, take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon. There's Delta there. All right. See you, everybody. Take care.